Maybe you've gotten to a place in your life where you just don't like the way you're showing up. And maybe at some point you knew that you had to make a decision, a very radical decision in your life. And maybe you made that decision. But now, after having made that decision, suddenly you look around and you see that your life is in chaos, that everything around you is crumbling. And so you don't understand what is happening. You don't understand. You've made the right decision, finally, and then this. So if you're going through something like this, and I know many people are, especially nowadays, there's a lot of crisis that is happening. Then if you're going through this, in this video, I'll explain what is happening to you through a scene in The Lord of the Rings, so that you understand it. And once you've understood it, you'll stop fighting it and you'll start using it as a way to become more empowered in that situation. So there is a scene in The Lord of the Rings, and I'll put a link down below so that you can watch it before you watch this video. And it's a scene when Gandalf is fighting the Balrog in the caves of Moira, I think it's called. And he's fighting the Balrog. And that scene for me is mythical. It's an extraordinary scene, because you see this man that is in front of this huge demon. He says once, "You shall not pass." And then you see the demon crumbling, the demon falling into the abyss. And I want to explain, and this is a powerful moment, and this is something that you can go through. Anybody can go through. You just say something, you decide, and that's it. Your demons just go away, they vanish, they die. And I want to explain what happened there and how you can get there and how you've maybe already gotten there, but you didn't understand the phenomenon, you didn't understand the reasons behind it all. And so before that scene, the Fellowship and Gandalf, they're running away. They're running away from a little group of orcs, and then that group becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And at some point, they are surrounded by all these orcs, and you know it's the end, right? And then when that happens, suddenly you hear this roar in the background. And they realize that there is a demon from the deepest shadow that just woke up. And that they're in trouble, because this is death, guaranteed, right? And this is symbolic for something that every one of us goes through. And it's symbolic for this. At the beginning, when you are unconscious, most of the things that you will do, most of the decisions that you will take, will be based on fear. So you will, for example, exercise your body because you fear that if you don't exercise, you will, be ill, or you will be ugly, or whatever. Nobody will like you. Or you will, you will marry because you're afraid that if you don't marry, nobody will want you, that at some point you'll be alone, etc., etc. So there's all these fears, and all these fears, they're not conscious. It's not like we do it on purpose. But there are many things that we do when we're unconscious that are not based on a conscious willingness to do them, but it's out of a certain fear. And so that's why when you see that, and how is it linked with the orcs? It's that If you make these decisions out of fear, it's because you're running away from the fear. You're running away from the fear of being alone, running away from the fear of being rejected or abandoned or whatever, right? There's always this running away. And so at the beginning, you see them running away from one orc, two orcs, a group of orcs, and then suddenly there's just a horde of them, and they're stuck there. And that's symbolic for the moment where you start seeing that you're running away from this thing, from that thing, from that thing, and suddenly the demon, the fear, the doubt, that is the base of it all, of all those fears, will wake up, which means that you become conscious of it. So let me give you an example. Let's say that at the beginning, you're always thinking, okay, you don't have enough time. There's not enough time. And so you're always working, you're always working against time. There is this sense of running, to have more time when there's not enough. There's always this sense of distress of, because it comes out of fear, there's always this sense of battling life, battling time, battling yourself, battling something. And then there's not enough, your body is not enough. And then your intellect is not enough. And then your partner is not enough. And then, your life is not enough. And then maybe that movie is not enough. It's like, do you see all these orcs coming in? This is not enough. That is not enough. That is not enough. And then suddenly you start seeing all these orcs coming in. And then you start realizing that there's a theme underlying them all. Right? And that theme, which is the Balrog, which is symbolized by the Balrog in The Lord of the Rings, is that you think you are not enough. That is the main fear. That is the main doubt. And by believing that one belief that is in the background and you're not conscious of, so it's sleeping in the shadows, right? That one belief taints everything in your life and taints the decisions that you make in your life. And so at some point, you start becoming aware through the experience that is coming up over and over again, differently, but still, and it's the same. You start seeing that there's this one belief. And that's when, the biggest demon of yours wakes up and you become aware of it. And you see it when, at some point, Gandalf turns toward the Balrog and looks at it, with almost daring. He's daring, he's looking at it. And this is a very important part, because what makes fear big, what makes you fear is you running away from it. Because when you run away from it, you make it real. When you run away from it, in your mind, you've just said, it's true. This is bigger than me. I am not enough. And you're actually validating it. But the moment you look at it, at any fear, you'll start seeing that it will start shrinking. And so there comes this moment in your life when, all the decisions that you've made all the unconscious decisions that you made based on that fear, in this case, not being enough, are just too much, right? And you start seeing the way you are showing up. You start seeing the way your life is, the way your relationships are, what is happening around. And this is a difficult moment. Awareness can be difficult for the first moments, let's say. And so you look at it, you look at all this, which means that you're looking at your fears, right? And when that happens, there is a moment where you tell yourself, that's enough. I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to show up this way again. That's enough. That's it. And you say that. There is a certain determination there. But then 5 seconds later, you will hear a voice inside of you saying, that's not true. You're not going to pull through. You're not going to do it. And in that moment, you know that you want. You know that you're too weak. You feel weak, but you just can't help it. You know that you won't be able to keep your word, right? And so for me, that moment is, you can see it when you see, at some point, everyone is running away from the Balrog. And Gandalf is in the middle of that bridge, right? It's the moment of choice, the bridge. And as he is on that bridge, he looks at the demon and he says, you shall not pass. He says that there is some conviction in his voice, but he's not that strong. And at the beginning, you don't even realize it, right? Because it's the first time he says it. And in that moment, what happens is the demon looks at him and he starts posturing, he starts roaring at him, blowing fire at him, showing him how big he is, right? And that's what your fear will do in that moment. It will start scaring you. And what will happen next, and the way it happens in your day-to-day life, is that you will want to make that decision. You'll say, okay, this is enough. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then suddenly you'll hear that voice of your fear saying, who do you think you are? Right? You hear that, and now you shrink. Like, yeah, who do I think I am? Or maybe you'll hear, or maybe there's going to be these memories that will invade your mind. A memory when you failed. Another memory when you failed, when you made a mistake or something bad, you did something bad. And again, this is your fear showing up and showing how strong it is, right? I mean, you can see it. Gandalf is this small and the fear is this big. And in that moment, that's how you feel. You're all small. And when you see this evidence showing that you're a failure or you're not enough or whatever, you shrink. The first thing you do is you shrink away, right? You become even smaller. And so your fear becomes that much bigger. And there is a moment where you'll shrink and you will run away. But maybe there's going to be that moment in your life when you'll say, no, that's it, done. I'm not going to do this again. And you will look into the fear's eyes. So when you hear it saying to you, who do you think you are? You'll look at it and say, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know who I am. And maybe it's time to discover. And I'm curious. I want to know more. And you'll go deep into it. And maybe you'll see this evidence showing you that you're a failure, right? And you'll see they're just glimpses, actually. They're not too deep. And now you look into them. You'll go into them, you'll start questioning them and saying, okay, I am a failure. No, but let me see. How is it that I'm a failure? Where did I fail? How did I fail? Let me go into it. Let me feel into it. Let me question this. And you'll start questioning everything. You'll start going into everything and observing everything with curiosity. And as you do that, the fear shrinks. It becomes small because it has nothing. It only becomes bigger when you run away. When you go into it, it just goes away. And so you'll start maybe seeing that what you thought was a failure was a mistake you made. And now you know better. And thank God, so now you're that much wiser. And maybe you'll see something else, some other evidence, and it will look just ridiculous that evidence meant that you're a failure. And you'll start going more, and so suddenly you'll start becoming more curious and less scared, more daring to go into your fears, into those limiting beliefs that you have about you. Right? Are you really not enough? What does it mean to be not enough? What does it mean? Have you really explored it? Have you gone into it? Or are you just a believer? Somebody said it a few times, you believed it, and now you're living your life based on that. And if you start going deep into that, what will happen is that when that demon comes to you, now you're not afraid of it. Now you'll take, that rod, whatever. And when you say, just like Gandalf, you shall not pass. In that moment, every part of you will be silent. Because every part of you knows that you will do it, that you're going to make it, you're going to go through, that you will keep your word. And not only every part of you is aligned with you, because you've just commanded every energy into you. When you run away, you just spread out. One energy is there, one energy is there, one part of you is there, and one part of you is there. But when you look, when you focus, when you go into curiosity, right? When you focus and look at your fears, everything comes back. And you're actually looking at every part of you, right? You're taking in every fearful part of you, every doubtful part of you. And now they're with you. They're not going against you. And so when you decide to do something, they're there with you. They're aligned. And so none of them will contradict you. They will stay silent. And they'll be your allies. So in that moment, when Gandalf said, you shall not pass, the demon could not pass because he had decided, because he had seen, he had gone through the fears, and he faced them, right? And so in that moment, what happens is that a part of the bridge falls down, the demon falls because it's dead now. It's not getting the energy from Gandalf, right? Your fear is not getting the energy from you. So it just shrinks, it dies. And it falls into the abyss, right? And so you see there's only one part of the bridge. So you'd think that now Gandalf, okay, he made that decision. That's it. He fought his battle. He won. Now he can go on to his new life, right? But what happens next is that the demon takes Gandalf and he pulls him into the abyss, right? So why is that happening? Why is it that after a certain decision, and it's always a decision that you have postponed for a long time, there is that moment when chaos ensues in your life. And this is why. When that decision is made, you will start realizing that decision created everything around you. It created all the structures around you. Your friendships, your romantic relationship, your job, whatever, not everything maybe, but at least a large part of it. Or at least, let me say, a part of it, depending which belief you're working on. So when that happens, when you get rid of that belief, which is which is the basis of your life, one of the bases of your life, when that goes away, obviously everything that was held by that just crumbles. And as it crumbles, you will be pulled into what they call, the descent to Hades, or the descent to hell. And in that moment, as you descend into that abyss, you will start seeing how certain structures are dying. And it's literally, you are dying. There's a part of you that is dying or is even dead. And so now you're going through this phase of mourning, through sadness, and you feel everything very intensely. If you'll be very raw, very vulnerable, and you will see how everything, your relationship with certain places will change, and will make you feel very raw and very sad, heartbroken. Because even that, the way you will show up there is going to change. The old you has died. And, with certain relationships, the same thing. The old you has died. And so again, even there, you feel that heartbreak, and you will go through it over and over again. And this is that descent. And what will happen in that moment is that, because most of us don't know what is happening, most of us, maybe some people will have heard that there is this descent to hell, and so people will take it literally. And so as they go down, there is the part of them that will want to go back to the old ways. Why? Because there's still no new way that has been created. You only see, it's like you're in between worlds now. You're fallen in between two worlds. You know the old one, you don't like it, and yet that's the only one you have. And there's no new one. There's nothing new. There's no future. There's nothing there. You can't see it because it's not there yet. You still are not ready to see it. And so it's scary. It's like, okay, everything is crumbling. There's nothing there. And so now what you'll start doing is you'll start clawing your way out of there. You'll try to claw your way out of there. And the way it will show up is that you will see that other people are okay. They're in the old ways, just the way you were, but they're okay, they're living. You're in hell, and they're okay. So suddenly you're like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have made that decision. And so you're trying to claw your way, but it's too late. It's done. It's dead. And again, you're not seeing anything new, so you're starting to doubt yourself. And if you are in a situation like this, I want you to know one thing. The only thing you can do in that moment is stop looking for something new. Stop looking at the old. You can look at the old. What you can do is that when you doubt yourself, put yourself again in the situation they're living in. Put yourself there and ask yourself if you want to be there. And I can assure you that automatically you'll know that that's not where you want to go. So that's something you can do every time, and the doubts will just dissipate. But I want you to know that in that moment, what you need to do is to surrender. You're not going to hell, even though it looks like it. It is very intense. You will feel very vulnerable and very raw. But what is happening in that moment is that you are pulled into your depth. You are pulled into the deepest parts of you. And that's why it's so intense. And that's why it feels so deep. And that's why everything will feel so Yeah, so intense. There's just no other way to say it. And you'll feel everything. It's like you have no skin in that moment because you don't. All those structures, all those masks have just fallen. They're not there anymore. And so you are in the state where you feel everything very strongly. And if you let yourself surrender to the moment by moment, then it will be something that you can relish. It's an incredible experience. Have you noticed how many movies and how many songs are created every year that are based on heartbreak, on loss, on unrequited love and all that? Maybe all these movies, these songs are made because we want that experience. And instead of paying for it and getting it artificially for 2 seconds, you're actually getting it now. By letting yourself just surrender, then you're not, suddenly you won't feel that you're being dragged into the abyss. You're just surrendering and you're floating. And you are feeling into your depth. And there's going to be more and more and more. And you'll start realizing how deep you are. And how incredibly deep you are. And that's the beautiful part of it. And so the one thing you can do is surrender, surrender, surrender. And as you surrender, it's not going to be hell anymore. You're not trying to get out of it. And as you go there, you'll feel that in that depth, there is a lot of movement. It's very soft. There's no solidity to it, which is what you're afraid of. If there's no solidity, it feels, scary and unstable. But you're in between two worlds. There's nothing else to be done. This is made for you. You're safe there. That's the experience you want to have, so you're having that experience. And so just let yourself go into it, feel into it, and as you will feel that softness, that fluidity, it's also the part of you that is very malleable. And that malleability is where something new will start creating, will be created. And it will be created on everything that you've seen, that you've become aware of as you descended. As you descend, you will see that certain relationships did not work because you had a certain need that you weren't aware of. And as you descend, you'll start seeing that maybe certain other relationships did not work out because there's something else, maybe, another boundary. Or maybe there's something new that you want. I don't know. But you will start seeing what did not work. You'll start seeing what doesn't feel good. And because you will see all of that, you'll accumulate all of that. You're also accumulating a lot of wisdom and a lot of power. And so then when you are in that malleable state and you have all that wisdom, all that power, something new will start to be created based on more conscious decisions. And then at some point, you'll start seeing that there is that one step to take, that second step. And if you live from a more conscious choice, then at some point you'll see that you don't really need to have it all figured out. That you'll be given one step and it's enough, and then a second and it's enough, and that's how you live. And we see it even with Gandalf, that he goes from the gray to the white. He becomes more powerful. And when he meets his friends again, at the beginning it's almost like he doesn't remember them. Because it's like a rebirth. He's new. He feels new. There's this feeling of novelty. And that's very important because that's what you're going to feel. You'll be like this newborn child that is living again, that has been given a new life. And that you now are going to create something stronger and more solid based on more solid premises, on more solid beliefs, and beliefs that you are conscious of, right? And you'll start also living a life where you decide what you want, and you're not going to decide on a fear, but on what you want, what you need, what your desires are. So let me just finish it here and just say that when that descent to hell, as many people call it, happens, it's not hell. It's you descending into yourself. You're between two worlds, two realities. That's when you need to see through. You'll see everything that doesn't work, and the new will start being created. And so surrender in that moment. Surrender to it and completely relish every experience of it, everything of it. Experience every profound part of yourself. See how deep you are. So if you have any questions, any comments, let me know down below. And see you in my next video. Ciao, ciao.